At 5:30 in the morning, all of our 7th grade class met on the buses, ready to get going and begin our journey to Joshua Tree. We began our trip at 6 a.m., and everyone was relatively tired. After about 5 hours of driving, we stopped in Bakersfield for lunch. Everybody was happy to see each other, and after that we finished up our lunch, got back on the bus, and drove for another few hours. We reached our final stop, and everyone began to say goodbye to the people that they know they wouldn't see for the next 7 days. We kept on driving until we pulled into the national park. One of the buses pulled out of the parking lot and up the west entrance road, while the other one entered through the north entrance. The first group was called, and 8 or so people got off the bus. Then the following group was our group. Group number 2 was Matt. We met our Boojum instructors, Whitney and Anders, and we hiked a mile into base camp. We ate a quick dinner, asked Whitney and Anders some questions about the following day, and then we went to bed.
On day 2, we woke up early because we had the challenge hike that day. The challenge hike was 8 miles long, and on the halfway mark, we stopped at Bell Campgrounds, but we couldn't actually eat there since the space there was bought by some people. So we hiked about half a mile down the road to where we ate lunch. Once we got there, we had this delicious meal. Then we packed up lunch camp, and we set it out for another 4-mile excursion to finish the 8-mile hike.
The third day, we woke up late and did our first helium stick. We were excited and determined, but we soon realized how hard it was going to be. Matt told us that if we completed it, he would bring us ice cream. Again, we tried, but we failed once more. We hiked out to the rock climbing site and proceeded to rock climb for most of the day. And Max Krenz beat the rock climbing record by 20 seconds. We then ate lunch and scrambled up some rocks until we got to the very top. During the rock climbing, some of us learned to get over their fear of heights, and others just enjoyed the break from hiking. Scrambling, we learned to trust each other and to go a little bit out of our comfort zones. After all, we didn't scramble with harnesses. We hiked all the way back to our campsite and made dinner. That night was clearer than the last, and we slept under the stars.
On the 4th day, we woke up and hiked out to our water source. We had a break and filled up all of our water bottles. After that, we were told that we would go on a solo hike. For the solo hike, every 5 minutes, one person would go on the trail and hike for about 1.5 miles. So, we waited, and eventually everybody went out. This hike was challenging for some of us, because we didn't have our friends on the hike, and we were completely alone. It was scary, but we went through it. When we all got to the meeting place after the solo hike, we had a snack, and then we continued on. We hiked for about 2 miles to a lunch point, and we had lunch there. After that, we hiked for about 1.5 hours, or 1.5 miles, and got to our base camp. We had 1.5 hours solo, and then after that we had dinner. After that we had questions with Anders and the crystal ball, and then went to bed.
Waking up on the morning of day 5, we felt relief. We felt like today was going to be a calm day. All we were going to do, as far as we had heard, was meet up with Ann Rivetta and then pack up and walk a few miles to our next campsite. And we felt very relaxed because that day was supposed to be the easy day. Unfortunately, we were wrong. For the start of the day, we backtracked and did blindfolded tasks led by another partner who told us what we should do. We were very confused at times since we were blindfolded, and during this task, we had to go through a maze-like setup and complete certain objectives. Then we met with Ann Rivetta and learned about many plants, also known as ethnobotany, and we wrote that down in our journals. Then we went back to camp, and we did art with native inks, and we wrote in our journals about Joshua Tree. Then we packed up camp, and we had a 5.5 mile hike
Unfortunately, were not aware that it was up and down steep rocky hills. This was probably the hardest hike of the whole trip, and during this time we were tired, moaning, and sore. We were also very parched because our water had become lukewarm. When we finally got over the last hill and we were told that camp was less than half a mile away, we were very, very excited. And when we reached camp, we set up and realized how good the day was. We took another attempt at the helium stick challenge and finally completed it after 3 days of trying at it. And that night we got freeze-dried ice cream. It was probably the best day for our group coming together as a team.
On the sixth day, we woke up at 4:45 a.m. to start our 3-hour solo time. It was kind of scary being in the dark, and it was different because normally we start our solo time when it's light and it goes to dark. But this time, it was dark and went to light. But it's also interesting to see the desert come to life. After our solo time, we had breakfast, and then we started scrambling. It was fun to challenge ourselves, and we got to a point where we could see where we had hiked the previous days. Then we had lunch, and we worked on a team building game. We were in a circle and put water bottles a body length distance away from each of us, and we had to help each team member get their own water bottle, and their water bottle represented a goal. After that, we did the Boojum race. We split into 2 teams and did a relay race. My team was called Quarter Asian, and sadly, we lost. After that, we had free time, and we played a 5-finger game where each finger was a different question, and you had to tell something about yourself. We learned about each other. Then we had dinner, and then after dinner we had hot cocoa, and we did a wristband ceremony where everybody said something nice about everybody else, and we got these wristbands made out of climbing rope. After that, we went to bed, excited to go home the next day.
On the last day, which was day 7, we woke up at 6 a.m. We ate our Belvita breakfast bars and head out. It took a mile, but we got to the buses. We were so excited to see our friends, but our guides told us that we had to clean our group gear first, and then we could see them. So we cleaned up, we ate, and we talked with our friends, hopped on the buses, and went home.
The most challenging and memorable experience was probably the hiking. It was very challenging to hike the 23 miles overall that we did, while carrying a backpack with food, water, group gear, and clothing. Hiking was also the most memorable because while we were hiking, it helped pass the time to talk to the other people in the group. This was a way that people got to know each other better. The environment was very beautiful because there were no cars or things that you find in the city. While we were hiking, we saw 2 leopard lizards. We saw a snake that we thought was a rattlesnake, and it is still unidentified. We saw a cottontail rabbit and a jackrabbit. On the last day, we were camping with very many bats, California desert bats. We saw the beaver-tailed cactus and the calico cactus. Sunset and sunrise were one of the prettiest things in Joshua Tree. Also, the night sky was very beautiful because the stars were very visible.